Greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There will be strong language and adult themes. So, with us today, we have Jenny Morgan and Doc Shearson.
Hi, kids.
Rawr.
And in the side chat, I see Greg Hartwick and Brainbug and Lone Wanderer. So, thank you all for coming. And again, thank you to Greg for supporting my channel.
Brainbug.
And Godless Stowing.
Isn't Brainbug that guy who tears ceilings out of his house and stuff?
Tears ceilings out of his house?
Yeah. I posted a picture of a ceiling that he tore down from his house or something like that.
I must have missed that.
And I know he has lots of bugs.
Yep.
Well, that could do it. Maybe the
I know he has cockroaches, but I thought they were contained. I didn't think they were allowed to roam free in the house. I know he has cockroaches, but I thought they were...
Forgot to turn that down. Brainbug, was it water damage?
Was it llamas in the ceiling?
Yeah, somebody wrote in the DM chat on Twitter that llama with two L's. He said in Spanish that's pronounced like a J, like in join. So that would, I guess you'd have to pronounce it Jamama.
I've never heard it pronounced that way, but I don't speak Spanish. So any idea what made the ceiling fall in? The wombats.
I like wombats. I'd love to have a wombat for a pet. A wombat, a quokka, American squirrels in gray, black, and white.
Well, Sloth Girl likes alpacas mostly because she likes the yarn.
And meerkats. I'd like to have all those as pets.
I have a cat, but I wouldn't say he's a meerkat. That would be kind of, downgrading him.
I'd like a lemur too, but I hear they shred the place. They're so active and can climb anything.
I'd like to have otters and have a swimming pool in my living room.
Oh, well, it would be fun.
Hey, Linda.
We have an alpaca farm in the next town over from where I live out in the country. It's
there's one about 30-40 miles from here.
I got 3 or 4
the sign on the
10 minutes.
The sign on the front says Bacon's Alpaca Farm. So what I want to do is buy the farmland across the street from it and set up, start raising pigs. And then I want to call it Alpaca's Bacon Farm.
Yep. Saw where you were going there.
And change my name to Alpaca.
No, you don't have to change your name. You can have a business name of whatever you want. Just DBA, doing business as.
Yeah, just spell it as EL space PACA.
That way, when you graduate from the Trump Business School and you're not paying any of your contractors, you'll be able to escape.
There we go. Sounds like a solid business plan.
I can't believe that prick just keeps trying to hurt the nation.
Yeah.
And fucking McConnell and all those dudes are complicit, are going right along with it.
Well, most of his presidency
Yeah.
was about spite. His big driving force was to undo everything Obama did, regardless of whether it helped anyone.
These people are just absolutely traitors.
Yeah, and there we go, getting political right off. So
Yeah, but we can have a civil discussion about it.
I know it does get tiring when you can't go a day without it.
No, I agree. Completely agree. But
yeah, Greg Hartwick is right, though. Despite him having handpicked so many judges for the Supreme Court, even they weren't willing to hear his nonsense about election fraud.
yeah, I still don't trust him in terms of Roe versus Wade, but
Yeah, I'm quite worried about them about any kind of case that comes down to individual liberties. Because you know they're always going to side with corporations or the religious.
yeah, they're always going to side with controlling people to their own design.
So what else is there besides
well,
politics
are
to
people
talk
gearing up for
about?
the holidays?
What do you want for Christmas?
A new president.
Okay, but delivery is going to be not till January.
Yeah, well, with COVID, I expect everything to be delayed a month or so. Hello, Hans. Oh, you bucket.
You don't want to know what I want for Christmas.
Why not?
Because I want the complete and utter dissolution and public execution of all future Christmases.
Why?
Because Christmas fucking sucks. I hate Christmas. I hate it more than not more than anything, but it's right up there.
It's good for the economy. People spend lots of money. More money circulating is good for all of us.
Yeah, well, it's certainly not going to be good for keeping the COVID numbers down.
Nope.
I mean, people talk about the big gatherings, and that's one thing, but it also means that people will be spending a lot more time in the stores and just a lot more random interactions and a lot more chances for the virus to spread that way.
Oh, that's true. But it's also more chances for the people that are anti-mask and anti-society to catch it and die.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're all likely to spread it to a good number of people who are trying to take precautions in the process.
Oh, that's definitely the unfortunate chance, but I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that more Rudy Giuliani's buddies get it.
It is likely to go that way, but unfortunately, what we're seeing now is it's finally getting to the middle of the country, so...
I heard that in the physical White House that there are 90 people that have it. 90. It was just one or two a few weeks ago.
Yeah, not surprising. I mean, bunch of people who work in the same building. It only took one infected person to get in there to spread it to the mess of them.
Mm-hmm.
That was the whole point of all the companies trying to get people to work from home, was to not have a bunch of people working in the offices close together.
Well, I have no mercy for anti-vaxxers and anti-maskers and
Yeah, I don't
people
either. It's
who
just the
can't
other people.
share responsibility for the betterment of the whole society.
Yeah, it's just the other people they're going to infect in the process is all I'm concerned with.
Yep.
Well, just remember, if they're going around without masks and if they're not paying attention to the rules, and you are, they are much more likely to be infected than you.
Yeah, but the masks are more to protect you from spreading it to other people.
True, but there's a certain amount of prevention to you.
Yeah, Sloth Girl's been busy making a lot of presents too. Keeping her fingers busy with the crochet needles.
I can say one thing I have going for me is I'm light sensitive, so I cannot be out in the daytime without my sunglasses. And that's just about, well, it's the majority of the time I would encounter people. So I do have an extra layer of protection.
Yeah, I have the same thing. I really can't go out in the daylight without sunglasses.
Especially today. Man, it's bright out right now.
Oh, isn't it? It's beautiful.
It's brighter than Stephen Hawking.
Well, he's pretty dark these days.
Well, yeah, but has anybody alive emerged that we know of that compares to the man's brilliance? So I still consider him pretty bright.
I've heard of, there's this some kid, I think he was Chinese, but he's like 14 and has had his doctorate or something like that. Just some brilliant kid. You know, there's always people like that around. Whether or not they do anything with it. It's like me, I'm at least as smart as Stephen Hawking and Einstein combined, and I'm just not motivated. I don't want to invent anything, so I just sit here on bed and pick my nose.
Well, I was going to agree with you until you got to that last part. Yeah, my biggest problem is motivation. Yeah, it's just so hard to get myself started on something. So once I finally get started on a project, then I just don't want to stop because it's just too much effort to gear up to it again. That's why if I can get away with it, I'll tend to work in blocks of like 20 to 30 hours at a time until I just drop.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much the same way. It's hard for me to get started, and then once I finally do, I want to finish it.
I'll be back in a minute.
What? Huh. Was trying to find some pictures and I can't locate them here. Oh well.
Are y'all? Yep, I'm wearing a huge happy hat. It's the Christmas season once again. Ugh.
Well, there's a request for Christmas.
Fix anthropogenic climate change?
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I could.
It's probably the O2 sensor that goes out all the time.
Mhm.
Yeah, certain medications do have that light sensitivity effect.
Yeah, I don't really know what the source of mine is. I think I always was a little bit, because I remember having a few problems with really bright lights as a kid, but it really wasn't until around maybe 2003-ish that I was starting to have real problems with it. 2002-ish, I was starting to have migraines real bad and went to the hospital and did a bunch of tests. I had CT scans, MRIs, and even a spinal tap. That was a fun day.
Oh,
Yeah, and
I know are incredibly painful.
oh yeah, it's no late afternoon massage, I promise. Uh, and then at the end of it all, I was like, "So, what's causing my migraines?" They're like, "I don't know, $10,000, please." And then it was maybe a year or two after all that I've finally started to realize that the sun was just causing me more and more discomfort all the time, and then I started to wear sunglasses, and I had one time there I was laid up for 4 days. I was bedridden for 4 days with a migraine. It just wouldn't let up, and but since I started wearing sunglasses, I haven't had that happen again. So I pretty much ended up figuring it out on my own after I went into irrecoverable debt.
Yep. Yeah, the medical system. I'm not sure what amlopidine is. I know I did have some medications that made mine worse at times. I can't remember which ones.
Hans, is that a medication for heart rate? As an AFib?
Yeah, for me, it's pretty much any light. Even in my apartment, it's like I've loosened half of the light bulbs in all the light fixtures because what people consider a normal light level is just way too much for me.
Yep, that's what my light in my apartment is like. And when I moved in, I asked the landlord if I can take one of the light bulbs out. All he said was no, didn't give me a reason why. I don't see why I can't.
I know for some reason it's something, in the safety codes or something. Because, yeah, every time they do an inspection, I've got to go around and make sure that they're all back in. I think they consider it to be some kind of a safety risk if areas aren't well enough lit. So I just have them loosened most of the time, and the night before they're going to do an inspection, I have to put them all back.
Yeah, Hans, I'm on a drug called I can't say it. Amiroti. I can't visualize how it's spelled, so that's why I can't say it. That's how my brain works. I have to be able to see the word in my head.
I don't know, just from the way you're starting it, I wonder.
Amiodarone.
Yeah, I wonder if that's just the, if what he was saying, the amlopidine, if that's just the generic of the same thing.
No, they're both generic names. Well, amiodarone is definitely a generic name. I don't know about his. That might be a brand name.
Yep.
But that shit makes me photosensitive. Just driving in my car, you know, on the side of me that's facing the sun when I'm driving in the car. After about an hour or so, the sheets of my skin just start peeling off. It's like a zombie.
Oof.
And Amiga Nuts is with us, so we have our professional shill.
I'm just light sensitive in the eyes, though. Doesn't seem to adversely affect my skin. I actually do tan pretty dark, like really dark if I let myself tan, but
Yeah, that's... In the winter, I've got the Scandinavian that if I stand in front of a snowbank, you can't see me. But yeah, in the summer, I tan down to the Eastern European. But yeah, for the most part, as far as it bothering me, it's just the same thing you were saying, that just any amount of light, I wind up getting headaches a lot. But
yeah,
on
and
the flip side of that, I don't need much, that even when the power's out, it's like, you know, I can actually read by a typical nightlight. That's enough.
yelp. And yeah, mine's getting worse as I get older. If it, you know, when it's like sunrise or sunset, and it's still rather dark blue in the sky, it, like, you know, my eyes will start to ache, and it's still too dark really for sunglasses. So it kind of sucks. There's kind of a twilight time that really messes with me. That if I wear the sunglasses, I pretty much can't see, or it just looks like the black of night. So.
Well, I've got multiple sunglasses. I've got the smoked gray lenses for the actual daylight. And then I've got the yellow lenses that I tend to wear when I'm driving at night, just because the glare of the oncoming headlights is too bad.
Oh, headlights are crazy these days, aren't they?
Well, and those blue ones, the blue halogen ones, I wish they would outlaw those.
Well, blue halogen, yes, I agree with that. But the true, what they're trying to imitate are the xenon headlamps.
Yeah. Yeah, people have actually made fun of me because there are times that I am still driving with the gray lenses when I've got the headlights on. The headlights aren't so I can see, the headlights are so other cars can see me.
I have this pair of prescription sunglasses, and then I put over those a pair of clip-ons. And then it's dark enough for me then. But I never had a pair of sunglasses my whole life, and that's probably why I got cataracts so young.
Yeah. I didn't know that was related to cataracts.
Yep, UV exposure.
Okay, well, then I guess it's a good thing that I've been using the sunglasses so much, because, yeah, those are kind of common in my family. So maybe I won't have to face that too much.
See, that's what I'm wondering about my eyes. If it's the UV, I really think it's the UV light, because artificial light, it definitely can get too bright for me, and I definitely have to avoid light sources as much as I can. But the ambient artificial light is not too bad for me, and I can watch TV all right. I do darken it a little bit, but you know, otherwise artificial light doesn't really bother me that much. But like I said, you know, once the sun starts peeking out and the sky is dark blue, my eyes already start to ache.
I do
And
find I do
it,
appreciate the LEDs. I find those aren't nearly as bad on my eyes as the the
yeah,
old incandescent bulbs.
yeah, they're still pretty bad for me if I look directly at them, but as long as I'm not looking at the light source, and that's also why I can't watch TV in the dark anymore. I've got to equalize the light in the room at least a little bit, because sitting in a pitch black room staring at the only source of light is a really bad thing. it really messes with me.
Yeah, I find that too. That if I'm watching TV, I've got to have a light on behind me. I've got to have some light coming from the opposite direction.
Yeah. Because otherwise my eyes are trying to adjust to a dark room, but then I'm staring at a source of light, so my eyes are trying to adjust to the light,
Yeah,
and it's just a bad scene.
yeah,
but the UV thing actually makes a sort of sense based on my limited knowledge, because I have nearsightedness, which I understand is the same thing as myopia. And I also have stigmatism. And I heard somewhere that actually humans can see in the UV spectrum. It's just that our lens usually filters the UV light, and I think UV light is bad for everybody's eyes without the lens, so it's probably painful to endure if you don't have a lens. So I wonder if because of my stigmatism, if my lens is messed up enough that it's letting some of the UV light through, and that's what's causing my pain. So
yeah. Well, and I know I have
A
UV sensitivity.
stigmatism is random flat spots on the cornea, the lens cover, not the
Well,
lens
like Hans
itself.
is saying here about when it's
okay,
cloudy, that I realized I wind up having to wear the sunglasses even when it's pretty overcast because I still have the UV sensitivity, even if it's not, what most people would
yeah,
consider visible light. That I'll
yeah.
still get
See,
headaches on an overcast day if I don't have the sunglasses.
yep, I'm pretty much the same. The clouds just kind of disperse the light kind of evenly instead of it glaring. But I read somewhere recently that I thought the stigmatism was a warped lens. Is what the thing said that I read. But
Yeah, that would qualify too.
yeah,
Yeah,
because
that's eye doctor described it to me as the stigmatism was, instead of it being a sphere, it was more stretched out like a football.
yeah,
Boy, I just had the nummiest damn thing at the
What were you
grocery
munching
store.
on there?
Mandarin orange mist is what it was called. A local mom or something makes a bunch of dessert nummies and salads and coleslaws and stuff for the local co-op, and that this is made by her, and it's just the sweetest goddamn thing. way too sweet. Mandarin oranges, pineapple, sugar, corn syrup, palm kernel oil, high fructose corn syrup, coconut oil, dextrose, citric acid, preservatives, coloring, and I think there's some tiny marshmallows in there too. It's like creamy sugar. It was very tasty.
Yep.
I'm a sucker
sounds
for
good.
orange.
Now, brain bug, if I recall, a lot of insects see more in the UV range than in the what we consider the visible light range. I recall something about that spiders actually weave patterns in their web that are only
Yep.
visible in the UV range.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I do have spider powers.
Well, or insect powers. As I recall,
I'll believe you have
spiders.
spider powers when you can suck the blood out of a fly. I'll see you do it.
Well, I probably could do that as much as anybody else can.
I don't think I've got a straw small enough.
Well, and a syringe would work too.
Oh, birds also.
Yeah, I see on the Twitter that the Lunatic Fringe has been released again, and they're starting to talk all about the chips that they're putting in you with this new vaccine.
Oh dear.
Yep, Bill Gates is going to control you. It's all him doing it.
Sloth Girl was telling me about that they made a bust in the last couple of days in Florida of just this huge stock of weapons and explosives from one of these, right-wing militia groups.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like it's all these bizarre right-wing people. You're not seeing any of that coming from liberals. And yet before the election, they thought they needed to fortify the White House into a fortress, when the only people who were likely to get violent were the ones who supported him.
We're the ones on the inside.
I could go with the plan of just building a new White House and just turning that into his prison.
There you go.
Well, that would be kind of nice, because he did say that he thought the White House was trashy.
Well, it is now.
Well, he's
sure,
in it.
I'm sure it smells bad and stuff. Yeah.
Well, what the fuck was that about digging up the rose garden and turning it into that just featureless courtyard?
Well,
Just no respect for 100-year-old tradition.
You haven't figured out yet that they don't respect anything but themselves?
Yeah. Well, I'm surprised she didn't have it painted.
Yeah, they have all the woodwork in the White House painted white.
Well, no, it wasn't always the White House. That's actually also only a tradition that's managed to hold. But it used to be called the Presidential Palace, and the First Lady could always pick what color she wanted the exterior painted.
Pink.
Yeah, so 100 years ago it was green.
I've always wanted a pink house.
Yeah,
Yep.
I've been hearing that stuff too, about them saying that the DNA, that the vaccine's going to alter your DNA.
Yeah.
And the extreme conspiracy that the whole point of it is to alter your DNA to the point that you're no longer human, so then you don't have rights.
All right.
Ay, caramba.
Except that the court has found that monkeys, other primates, have rights. And people are trying to get dogs to have rights too.
Well, yeah, I think they should have some rights. I'm not sure if they should have the right to vote, but
well, Subaru's demonstrated that dogs should be able to have driver's licenses.
oh, really? I hadn't heard about that.
Yeah, they had a whole campaign on that. It's pretty obvious that they're perfectly skilled enough to drive cars.
There was a case in Illinois like back in the 1980s, of a guy who taught a horse to drive a modified car.
Oh,
And he actually took the horse in to take the driver's test. And they only refused because the horse was not 16 years old.
well, I should have lied about his age.
Well, they need a birth certificate. Yes, animals do have limited rights, also somewhat depending on the animal. We're not big on giving rights to chickens and pigs and things that we intend to eat.
I don't give mosquitoes many rights.
Yeah, spiders should have the right to enter your home without a warrant.
They already do.
Well, I've actually been reading that house spiders have now evolved into separate subspecies that couldn't really live outside anymore.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. I was just thinking about that too. I'd heard that fairly recently. I'm that type of person who, when I find a bug, I feel more compelled to just take it outside rather than just smash it, unless it's a mosquito.
Yeah.
And or a fly. And yeah, I heard that recently that, well, if you find a spider in your house, most often it's a house species, so you're actually doing it more harm by taking it outside.
You're guaranteed killing it.
Yeah,
Pretty much, yeah. It's just going to be food for a bird.
And in this climate, especially in the winter, they're certainly not going to survive out in the cold.
Yep.
There's all kinds of creatures in your house that you don't know about. Like,
oh yeah,
like some of these really tiny, little super tiny red mites. Have you ever seen those?
I don't think I've actually seen them directly, but I think I've seen them on like nature shows and whatnot.
They're no bigger than the hole from a tap of a stick pin. They're super tiny. I think their diameter would be measured in the thousandths of an inch, which isn't that small. I mean, a human hair is measured in thousandths of inches too, so you can see thousands of inches. But they're just super fucking tiny, and they're this bright red. And I used to see them when I'd be looking out the window at home. The window frame was painted white, and so they'd contrast really well. And they're just fucking running around doing whatever they do, but they're just super fucking tiny, just unbelievably small.
Oh, hey, Alias.
And then, of course, dust mites, which I've never seen an image of them except electron microscope stuff.
Yep.
But spiders eat stuff that's in your house.
Yeah, well, people consider spiders to be a problem. Spiders aren't a problem. Spiders are a symptom. Because you wouldn't have the spiders around if there weren't smaller insects for them to be eating. And it's just like you're saying that a lot of the insects they eat are too small for us to see without a magnifying glass.
And then you know what eats the spiders? Those other bugs that everybody hates to see in their house, those centipedes.
Yep, the common house centipede.
With the big fluttery legs? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. My mother used to call them a walking eyelash.
Oh yeah, brain bug. Yeah, like the worms that live at the base of your eyelashes in the follicle.
Yep. There was an interesting series. I think it was probably PBS. Called The Zoo on You, which just went into this about all the microscopic things that we've got living on our own bodies that people just aren't even aware of.
Well, those are like bacteria and other
no
small
things like skin mites.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just little mites, and like you were saying about the worms that live in the hair follicles and things like that.
Well, then we should probably figure out a way to train those things so they can replace your vibrator or something.
Train them to attack.
Okay, I'm not sure how. Skeditira. So are those the centipedes that have the very high arched legs? Yeah,
I don't know. I think he's talking about the house centipede we were talking about.
yeah,
And from what I heard, they feed on spiders and bed bugs and cockroaches. And they're in fact they go after the eggs of the cockroaches.
mm-hmm.
So they are excellent pest control.
Yeah, that's the ugly centipede that nobody likes to see.
Yep. And they're completely harmless. They generally avoid people, so you rarely see them. And that's part of why people freak out. They're just all of a sudden they'll look over and there's one just sitting there.
I have an infestation of fruit flies going right now. I bought a bunch of bananas from a Quick Trip, and I didn't notice anything when I bought them or brought them home, and then brought them into the house, and all of a sudden, like within a couple of hours, I started noticing fruit flies, and then they're just fucking everywhere, and they've been around for like almost a month now, making me crazy.
Surely.
I don't know how to get rid of them. I can't find where they're feeding or where they're breeding or what. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, these things.
Yes, indeed. That's the wee bugger. Yeah, they look pretty wicked, but they're completely harmless. They don't carry as much disease as a lot of other insects, and they generally don't bother people. They don't get into your cupboards and your food. They don't attack people.
Brain bug. You know what I do use for a trap is scotch. They seem to love scotch. And then I set it up like you have those use soda bottles, one inverted into the other for catching hornets and shit. When you're having a picnic, I basically do that with the fruit flies and a little scotch, and I'll get 20, 30, 40 a night sometimes.
That sounds like a waste of scotch.
It only takes like just a little piss of it.
Yeah, I'll stick to using the vinegar. That's most of the time when my cat starts seeming to go nuts and jumping all over the place. I figure he's probably tracking a fruit fly and I'm not seeing it.
The other effective trap I found is buy a can of beans. You use the beans. Don't wash out the can when you throw it away, and just put it on the counter. And they gather in it overnight. And so when you get up the next morning, you have like a plastic bag, and you just go up to the cup real quickly and put the plastic bag over it, seal them all up to die in that, and dispose of it, of course, quickly so they don't get out or anything like that. But I found that's a good trap too. But all these different techniques, and I can't get rid of these fuckers. So I'm thinking I'm gonna just turn off the furnace and open the windows in February when it's super fucking cold.
Yeah, unfortunately, that usually doesn't get rid of the eggs, so they just come back anyway.
Well, I don't know what else to try. I'm not going to spray any chemicals around.
Yeah. Yeah, fortunately, in this building, I haven't seen a problem with bugs. I tend to have like 2 spiders at a time in the kitchen. So there are a few things around that they're finding, but nothing that's bothering me. I've seen a couple of silverfish in the bathroom. That's the worst of it. Those things are kind of weird too, and they'll startle you just because of the way they move.
And so silverfish are bugs, but goldfish are fish.
Yep.
Why is that?
Because we're on the gold standard and we do value silver.
and then a woodchuck is a mammal. People are just so confused.
Well, a chuck is a mammal too, but it's a primate.
Okay, so what's the
Chuck.
secondary mate?
Secondary mate is the monkey's mistress. Do you know what you call a fly with no wings?
A walk.
I love that joke.
Does that mean you can make fried rice on them?
Probably.
I did this thing. My nephew was visiting my shop. He was about, I don't know, 6 years old or something like that. And there was a couple of really big ass hornets in there. And they were terrorizing him. He was scared to death. Well, we had this formula of brake cleaner that we found. If you shoot them, it would knock them out of the sky, but it wouldn't kill them. But it would stun them, and it'd take them about 15, 20 minutes to wake up and shake it off. It was like chloroform for a bug.
Mm-hmm.
And I shot one of them, and I took a hair from my head, which, my hairs are about a foot long or so. And I tied it around its waist. And then I took the other end of the hair and I tied it on just a 10 millimeter nut, which is astronomically heavy to a bug.
Mm-hmm.
And as it woke up, it of course tried to take off, and it couldn't. Well, it could take off, but it couldn't get more than a foot away, and it's flying around in circles. My nephew just squealed with delight. It was so cute. and he doesn't remember it as an adult. Oh, bummer.
Yeah, me and this kid at school, way back when I was in high school, we did that with a fly. The one dude was good at catching flies, and we both had long hair, but I think I was the one that yanked a hair out and made a little leash and had a pet fly.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I should never cut my hair. I had a ponytail down to my waist, and my ex convinced me to cut it short.
We'll grow it back.
I've been trying to for 10 years, and now I can't get it much past my shoulder blades. But when we cut the ponytail off, it was 22 inches. And that was just the ponytail part. That wasn't all the way back to the scalp.
Use a good quality shampoo and good quality conditioner, and be easy in combing your hair. Don't be vicious with it or anything. Reduce the frequency of your shampooing. If you're shampooing every day, you're damaging your hair.
No, I only shampoo it a couple times a week, and
That's even too much.
I've tried all sorts of different shampoos.
You can eventually get yourself to not have to do a full shampoo for every 2 weeks. And you can just do water rinses or dry shampoo treatment in between.
Yeah.
And it makes a difference. The beautician I went to told me all that, and sold me the stuff. And son of a gun, within 6 months, my hair was like 2 inches longer. And I'd been trying to get it to grow longer for like 10 years, and it wouldn't. It's just as we get older, it gets more brittle and it breaks.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I figure it's with mine now. But, it's just, I've been trying different shampoos and things, and it doesn't seem to matter what I use. It's pretty much stuck at the same length.
I'm not sure of the chemicals entirely, but I know one of the things that she said was that most supermarket shampoos have, God, what was it that she said? Started with a P. some chemical in them that is what weakens the hair and makes it bust when you try to comb it and stuff. And the stuff she sold me, Avada.
Yeah.
You only buy it in salons.
Yeah, and I was using that stuff for a while. Actually, Sloth Girl's son had been working for the company where they packaged that. Yeah, so he had gotten me the whole hair care system while we were still living in Michigan. So I had been using that for about 6 months too, and still didn't see any difference from it.
Well, I freaked out at how expensive the shit was. But once I got into the routine of how long I could go between shampoos, it ended up being actually a little less than standard cheap supermarket stuff that you're doing more frequently.
I think the problem is all I can get is shampoo. Where do I get the real stuff?
Oh,
I don't even use shampoo myself. I just use my body wash.
Well, I go the other route, that I shampoo my hair and I just use the lather from that to do the rest of my body.
yeah, me too.
There you go.
You know, I don't really see a point in having, 6 different products in the shower.
Well, the other advantage to that is now I've got the softest pubes on the block,
Yeah. The problem I have with shaving is I always get a mess of ingrown hairs.
Yeah, I need to shave my head again. I usually do, but I've just been lazy about it, and it's been months. So I'm getting length.
Yep. Yeah, Sloth Girl, I was talking earlier about you making Christmas presents. And for some reason I can't find the pictures I had of the Among Us guys on my computer. But
oh, Sloth Girl, I'm coming up to you and you're going to take care of my hair from now on. If you can get mine to grow that long, I'd be happy.
yeah, well, that's why she was, getting me the products and that and trying to help me to get mine longer, but still haven't found anything that really helped. But yeah, mine is very extremely thin and fine.
Yeah, that's my problem too.
Yeah, so it does tend to break easily when brushing it.
All three of us kids in our family got my dad's thin, weak ass hair. My mom had beautiful, really thick hair that would grow nice and fast, and I mean she didn't even start to go gray till she was in her late 50s, and then it was just a few, and none of us got that good hair. Except my brothers are also going bald. My older brother is like billiard, and my younger brother is going bald slowly, but he denies it. John, you got this 4-inch bald spot on the top of your head. Do you know that?
Yeah. Well, that
no,
is
I don't.
one good
No, I
thing.
don't. I'm going to take a picture, John.
I'm not really worried about going bald. My father went through several rounds of chemotherapy and it kept growing back. So he still died with pretty much a full head of hair. I've got a slightly receding hairline that my forehead is, maybe a half an inch taller than it was 10 years ago.
My hairline's receding so fast it's leaving skid marks. No, actually,
that's not from the hair, honey.
I know it's from the shit I keep rubbing on my head. No, No, actually, it's not receding that fast at all. I am bald on top now, but it's been thinning since I was like 14 or 15. So I always knew I was headed for baldness, and I did used to have really long hair, but now if I grew it out again, I'll have a skullet.
Well, I'm sure I would have followed my brothers with the same kind of baldness patterns, but I got rid of those nasty chemicals that did that.
Yeah. Oh, nerdy, you had to go through chemo?
Really? Ooh.
Oh.
Hey, speaking of people we care about who are sick, have you heard about Jen's brother?
Which Jen?
Yeah, that was my question.
Australia Jen.
Oh
No.
no.
I spoke to her this morning, and they don't know what it is, but he suddenly developed some kind of thing, and he started swelling up, and they took him to the hospital, and they drained like 2-3 quarts of liquid from him,
Oh, God.
and that's all I've heard, and that was from this morning, very early. So everybody send your good vibes towards Perth and see if we
Yes.
can get this guy energized.
Yeah.
She said she'd be in and out, but I haven't seen her on at all today. I wouldn't expect her. She was still at the hospital when I spoke with her.
Okay, yeah, no, I hadn't seen, but I haven't really been following Twitter the last several days.
Yeah, that's too bad. I wonder if that's the one she's had on a couple of her streams.
I have no idea.
If so, I've seen him, so haven't really met him, but
Yeah, here's what Sloth Girl's been busy with. She's been
Oh, is it with the almost? Is that the name of it?
Among Us, yeah,
Among Us, yeah.
cranking out these crewmen as gifts for a number of kids we know.
Those are really cute.
Yeah.
Did you figure out the pattern yourself, Sloth Girl?
No, it was a pattern that she bought. Although she did modify it, she did actually find a faster way of making them than the original pattern.
groovy.
Really nice tight weave.
Yeah, well, that's a if I understand it right, like the original pattern, the backpack was a separate piece from the body, and she found a different way of doing them to make them all one piece and not have to stitch them together.
That's probably better overall, anyways.
Well, I knew she had to come in here. I knew she couldn't resist llamas.
Llamas.
Yep.
We have 3 or 4 alpaca ranches around here. They seem to be rather popular.
Yeah, I know that there's a ranch that has about a dozen of them that's like 30 or 40 miles from here. By somewhere near Monticello.
We also got a couple of goat farms and a couple of sheep farms.
Yeah, a friend of mine bought a house here, and part of the deal for buying the house was that they had to tend a llama and 2 sheep that were on the property until they could find a place to adopt them.
We got no chicken ranches though. Oh no, that's you don't want a chicken ranch anywhere near you. They stink so bad.
Well, what I heard was that they were a fun place, but maybe we're not talking about the same kind of chicken ranch.
No, we're not. Definitely not. You're talking about the Vegas type.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the Minnesota type.
Yeah.
I was into pigs myself.
Okay, there's something interesting going on in the side chat here.
What, snogging? People are
Dave, I
snogging each
didn't
other?
even know you went that way.
Well, snog is just a little cheeky kissy tongue action, isn't it?
Oh yes,
I don't know. I
girl.
thought it was English slang for sex.
No, that's shagging.
Yeah,
Well, there's that too, but
I thought snogging
Americans
was
have
tongue
like
kissing.
97 words for sex.
I thought snogging was tongue kissing. How about it, Dave? You want to clarify on what you meant for the Americans? We're not sure it translates well.
I like that word, snog. That's a good word. I'll be right back.
No,
I'm
Dave.
taking
I
off my
didn't
clothes.
realize you identified as pan.
So snogging is English kissing as opposed to French kissing. But it's basically the same thing.
Well, the difference is that you use a larger, flatter tongue that doesn't twist around as well.
Mm. Oh, good.
Go ahead, Alias. Oh, sorry. Trying to edit the description as we go to keep things up.
I like getting naked. Naked is good.
I wasn't so big on it.
Here, you want to see? Oh.
My fiance got me very used to being naked at home most of the time, so now, yeah. It's one of the reasons why I don't run a camera much. You people really probably don't want to see that.
I have no doubt.
Oh, you definitely don't want to see me naked. The psychological damage is irreversible. You will never be the same.
Who just wrote that?
Yeah, Dave, I talked about it a lot. I didn't know. Oh, there he is. He's coming in.
Have you seen the yarns and stuff that they developed by breeding the alpacas or the sheep so that their wool is a specific color, so there's no dyeing in the process of making yarn?
Oh yeah, she's told me about those.
I want to see him come up with a blue sheep. I think that'd be cool.
Okay,
Good morning, Dave.
Who's Jeff Minter?
I completely mangled that statement. I meant to say you're one of the people I've known the longest.
Yep.
And you didn't know Dave was an entrepreneur?
I don't care who he has sex with.
Yeah, I knew he was very accepting of things. I didn't know he actually participated.
An active participant.
I would participate if I actually had willing partners, but that's been quite a while.
We need COVID to end. We've got a vaccine. It started yesterday.
Yep.
Yeah, congrats over there.
Yeah, and Trump signed an executive order that the U.S. would be the first ones to get the vaccine, seemingly oblivious to the fact that they're already distributing it in the UK.
What they meant was
Canada
they'll be
also.
the first ones to pay for it.
Canada is also administering doses. And here we are. Yay,
Yeah.
Trump. Good job.
Well,
Got us right up in front.
what Trump is trying to cover up is the fact that Pfizer gave him the option of securing, several million extra doses while they were still working on it, and he turned them down.
Well, actually, I heard the guy who was involved in the negotiations of that this morning on the news show, and it actually sounds like it made sense. The way that Pfizer wanted the contract written, Pfizer could have stuck the United States with doses that don't show up till June, July, but only in quantities that they would piss to the United States, and then maybe by December or something they'd get enough doses, but maybe not. That it was too open-ended. It was a really crusty, crummy contract that they wanted, and they just thought it was smarter to not go with Pfizer, but diversify into some of the other companies that are coming up with vaccines as well. And that actually kind of makes sense to me.
Okay, I hadn't heard that part of it. But yeah, unfortunately, you can't get news that isn't slanted one way or the other anymore.
Yeah.
Well, that didn't sound very slanted to me.
No, what you're saying doesn't. I'm saying that the report I heard was, definitely very anti-Trump, so apparently they slanted that report and left out some things.
Now, of course, I don't know if this guy was being truthful, but what he had to say actually made sense. It didn't seem like typical Trumpian double talk.
Yeah. I really miss the old newscasters. Jim Lehrer and Dan Rather, and ones who would actually tell you what was an editorial or an opinion as opposed to reporting news.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And ones that would actually give you the full story so you could decide yourself.
Or Walter Cronkite.
Yeah.
I had an email exchange for a while with Walter Cronkite after he retired. Yeah, I just happened to run into him on a forum and stuff like that, and I said something, I don't even remember what it was, that he thought was really smart, and he wrote me back on it, and we exchanged like 3 or 4 different email sessions talking about this thing. It was about politics, of course. And that was it, but it was kind of cool. Or Walter Cronkite, ooh.
Cool. What's the Oxford vaccine? This is one I haven't heard about yet. Hey,
Yeah,
never.
The Oxford vaccine. That one, when they give it to you for like 2 weeks, you always put commas after or before and.
So the side effect of the vaccine is good punctuation?
Yes.
Having too many comments.
You're constantly pausing.
I thought an English person might like that joke.
Yeah, when Sloth Girl got her flu vaccine. Yeah. But she said that if you get the one you paid for instead of the one the insurance gives you, then you get it without the microchip.
I saw somebody on Twitter that was serious and said that you all go get your virus shots, and just have them put that chip in you. And she was dead serious. And so I just wrote her back and I said, what gauge needle do they have to put that chip in you? What kind of chip is it? How are they going to read it off? And another thing, I forgot what I asked her.
I want to, if they've got a chip that will work, if there is even anything to reality, I want a fucking battery that is powering this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
RFIDs don't need a battery. They're a response.
There's no use if it's RFID. You can't track with RFID that's internal. You basically literally have to get up to someone next to them and scan them.
I know. That's why it's such a joke that these people are so ignorant about this kind of technology. They think it's possible.
Yeah, well, that's, I've had I've had all of my cats chipped. So I've seen the needle that the vet uses for that.
That's a fucking 8-gauge needle.
Oh yeah, it's considerably larger than the needle they use to draw blood.
And for those in the chat that don't know about gauge, an 8-gauge needle is probably
Like a shotgun.
an eighth, 3/16,
Yeah, well,
which would be like 3 millimeters, 3.5 millimeters in diameter.
yeah, gauge
That's
is
fucking
actually
big.
gauge actually is fractions of an inch. An 8-gauge needle is actually an eighth of an inch. So yeah, that's an eighth of an inch would be about 3 millimeters. Yeah, and and the chip that they put into the pets then can only be read by a scanner held within 3 inches of the skin. These things don't transmit. It's a passive ID thing.
So basically, someone has to shag you to be able to scan you.
Yeah.
And all they have to do is ask, and I'd be happy to, but...
Yeah. But, yeah, like Dave was saying, for them to put one in you that could actually transmit even a couple of feet would require them to install a watch battery in it. And that battery would run itself out, in a matter of days, and they'd have to keep replacing the battery.
You have to go in for a booster every 2 weeks. It's real. It's the battery change.
Okay, no. See, the thing is that to keep the battery charged, they have to install a solar collector in your scalp.
No one notices the tiny thing going into the skin. But the large rectangular thing that now sits on top of your head, you're not meant to notice that.
No,
Don't
they've improved the technology. Now they use that magnetic charging. So all they have to do is clamp a big neodymium magnet to your face. And
okay, that might work. I was about to say with the solar collector for Doc and I, it would go dead anyway because we won't go out in the sunlight.
If we could convince them that it's already put it in and the solar collector is there now, would that stop the conspiracy nuts going out? Although that would put them online more. I'm not convinced that's an advantage to us.
Well, I've been trying to convince the conspiracy people that wearing a face mask defeats the facial recognition software the deep state uses to track us.
It does. And facial recognition isn't anywhere near as effective or accurate, I should say, as TV likes to pretend it is.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, no. It is as accurate. What is not as accurate is we do not really have the camera footage. Most cameras we have are cheap and are not high quality, getting decent facial shots that we can use facial recognition on. If that makes sense. The actual facial recognition from a decent image is pretty fucking good.
And what Sloth Girl's mentioning here about a microchip carrying your medical information. Now that I would go for if they had something, like we were saying about the ID chips they put in the cats.
Mm.
I wouldn't mind having
RFID fitted with an ID in.
I wouldn't mind having something like that implanted so that if I was in a car accident and I couldn't talk, that when they got me to the emergency room, they could just scan the chip and get all my medical records.
They are
storing it there rather than just an ID that would enable you to access it. It still seems a waste of technology that's going to change so quickly.
They are working on that. Absolutely, they're working on that.
Yeah,
but no, I mean, I know that people are already doing it themselves.
Oh, like Cyborg Joe.
Yeah.
Slim Cyborg.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to think of the name of his channel. Amiga Nuts, do you have a link for Slim?
I don't.
I was on a show with him. Whose show was that?
Just the other day.
Yeah.
Was it Stools? No.
I know he was on the Uncalled For.
No.
Well, I thought he was fascinating. Somebody's going to have him on his show and do a show exclusively on him and his interesting lifestyle.
I know.
And I'm looking forward to that. I think that's gonna be a riot. And
Yeah,
I don't mean that in a negative way.
You really put yourself about, Jenny.
Huh?
What channel is it on? That's got me nagging at me now.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry.
Well, Perp, I have an idea to help us with our solar panel problem. We just need to invent lunar panels.
Oh, for nighttime?
Oh,
Indeed.
yeah, harness the cold moonlight.
Mm-hmm. If you get a big enough collector, you would never have to air condition your house.
Hey, Theo. Actually, a good technique for air conditioning houses is using the thermal energy. I don't know if it's really been developed much, but I remember seeing plans of basically having, earth tubes that went, down into the ground or into a mound to circulate the air through.
Oh, you're talking geothermal.
Yeah, well, not
Yeah.
really geothermal, because geothermal usually, refers to having a hot spot, hot springs, or a volcano.
No. Geothermal can work anywhere.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's usually what people think of when you say geothermal. But yeah, just the idea that basically if you dig a hole 3 feet in the ground, the bottom of that hole is going to stay at about the same temperature year round.
They actually drill down about 50 to 75 feet and run a single pipe all the way down, all the way back up.
Mhm.
They first initially started out going about 4 feet to 6 feet down, depending on your frost line, and laying out a grid of piping and radiator type materials.
Yeah,
And now they realize that all they have to do is put something straight down, like you're drilling a well.
yeah, that's the systems I had seen. Was a network of pipes that were put down a foot
A
or 2
network of
below the
pipes
frost line.
Cheaper and better if you've got the land to do it, because it distributes the heat better.
I would expect so. But they invented the other
space. They go down.
They invented the other technique for existing installations or existing homes in the city and with compact space around them.
I was only looking it up about a month ago because the government, one of the COVID things the government is doing is towards renewable things or energy saving things for your house. I think we can get a grant of up to about £10,000.
All right, I'm naked. I feel great now.
And the camera's off because you're not naked.
Nah. Of course, you only saw the top.
Yeah,
I'm not brave enough to show you the bottom.
Okay, well, we've got a
Amigo, who's this Redically guy?
Did you? I'm really annoyed. I only discovered Theo is someone I only ever looked at their first name. I only realised the other day on a show that his name is Theoretically.
Oh, you hadn't caught that fun.
No.
Hans, what country are you in?
Well, I just said he's in Norway.
Are you in Norway?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, let's get together and fuck. We could meet in Iceland or Greenland.
Yeah, part of the problem in the U.S. In the U.S., the HIPAA thing has really rather backfired on patients. That it's supposed to be about keeping your medical records private. Instead, it's just wound up being a big hassle so that they can't access your medical records when you need them to.
No, Theo, I didn't realize that you were a person. I thought Amiga was just playing around with the name theoretical. I didn't know that you were an actual person.
Yeah,
Now I do.
Patrick Stewart made being bald sexy.
It's a very clever name. I love it. It's right up there with Titan Uranus.
Yep. An alias fake name.
And what?
Alias fake name,
Yes, an alias fake name.
who I think is still in the chat with us here.
What's Sammy's new one? It's another one of those.
Oh, I thought Sammy was using Watchtower Watcher.
Oh, that's the thing you want. It's
Hey,
not another one that
in our Twitter DM, who the hell is Lieutenant Uhura?
Oh no, Lieutenant Uhura is Lieutenant Uhura. She's not someone else. As in, she's obviously someone, but she's not. Yeah.
He doesn't have a YouTube channel, as far as I know.
No, she's come on. She has been persuaded to go onto stools. She's using her son's account. We're trying to talk her through setting up profiles, so she can have her own profile because she's nervous about doing things on her son's.
I must have missed that. I wasn't aware that she had ever actually been in a chat.
I don't know if she's been in a chat, yes.
In the DMs.
Made it onto a stream yet. I think she will.
I thought she was, somebody like Jen or Amanda who are just playing a gag with the second account or something.
Stool is remarkably good at getting random people that are new that are fun to come on.
I have to be nicer to Stool. I hope that he understands that we're just teasing him, or I'm just teasing him.
He does. He really does, and he is teasing constantly.
Well, yeah, that's why he always comes back and calls everybody perverts.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Stool is lovely. Stool is very, very, very odd.
There was just a shot of the African sky at night, and they got the fucking stars rotating the wrong direction. Come on, PBS. That really sucks. That really, really sucks. And the Big Dipper is what's in the background. It's like, we all know what that looks like, and we all know which direction it moves. You're wrong. Damn. Wait a minute. That's even worse. They're in the Serengeti. That's south of the equator. They shouldn't be able to see the Big Dipper at all.
Oh, yeah.
That's even worse. Who made this fucking film? Oh, they're gonna get a letter on this one. It's nature. God.
Yeah, Hans, what I was referring to was HIPAA. I forget what exactly it stands for, but in the U.S., basically, it's a series of laws about protecting patient information. And even medical professionals cannot get access to records without the patient signing it, which causes all sorts of problems if the patient is brought in unconscious or unable to speak.
Yep.
Yeah, it's with my fiance that we had to go through the whole thing of getting the what's it called again?
Power of attorney?
All the legal paperwork that basically I could sign for all of her medical records and stuff.
Power of attorney?
Not quite the power of attorney, the medical proxy.
Okay.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we never got the power of attorney because we couldn't afford the lawyer to do all that.
Most hospitals
caused me no end of hassles when she died, because then I didn't have any say over anything.
Most hospitals will help provide that service. You should ask them about it. Yeah,
well, that's how we got the medical proxy, was mostly the hospital giving us all the forms for it.
I really like the system I'm involved with right now. My primary hospital and physician and stuff are Gunderson in La Crosse, Wisconsin. And for the western part of Wisconsin, they're a fairly large facility. They have clinics, and God, most of the small towns around here, including right here where I'm living, in a town of 900, they have a clinic. So I don't have to drive 25 miles to get a simple blood test or something. But I started going to Mayo for some other services, and it turns out Mayo and Gunderson have a relationship where they can exchange each other's records and stuff, like it was all in one house. So it was really convenient, as I had to be working with this doctor for one thing and this doctor for another, but they needed to know what each other's up to, that they were just able to integrate with one signature. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, and there should be more of that. There should at least be things that the patient can sign to help them share information more freely.
Yeah, although I should say mental health. My mental health records, they would not allow without a specific signature for that.
Yeah.
Is
that because you're a particular type of crazy, or is that normal?
I think that's standard operating procedure.
It is. I think that's a federal thing because it's in every state I'm aware of.
I'm not one particular type of crazy. I'm just fucking psychotically depressed and eat rats off the street and stuff like that.
Yeah, for me, mental health isn't an issue because I haven't had any for the last 10 years.
What, mental or issues?
I haven't had any mental health.
In your defense, you have none?
No.
Ooh, meerkats.
What?
Oh, she's watching PBS about mammals.
Do you have meerkats on your adverts?
No.
Oh, they're slim.
We have
they are just so adorable when they stand there. Oh, they're so cute.
Hey, Slim, we were just talking about you a while ago when we were talking about
Slim's
them implanting microchips in people.
Slim, what stream were you on with Jenny?
Huh?
What stream were you on with Jenny?
Oh, yeah. What stream was that? A couple of days ago. I'm trying to remember. Was that Rings?
Yeah, Jenny can't remember what channel you guys were on together. If you got time, Slim, you're welcome to come in. I can send you a link on Twitter. Yeah, I know over the weekend he did a thing with the uncalled for bit on BDSM and sexuality.
It was Jeff's stream.
Well, Hans, you just remember, if you come to Minnesota, ask me and I'll give you my number. We'll get together.
Okay. He's at work now, so he can't come in. Yeah, well, right after I had moved and before the COVID lockdown started, I was floating the idea of doing like a YouTuber get-together in Minneapolis over the summer. So depending on how fast they get the vaccine distributed, maybe we could do that next summer. Anyone who's within driving distance in Minneapolis, can come down for the day.
How close are you to Rage?
Rage is in Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rage?
So basically he could probably, drive it in a day, but he'd have to stay overnight. It's probably like 6 or 8 hour drive.
Who's Rage?
Nakasuchi.
Raging Atheist.
Oh, okay. I don't know who that person is.
I always find it funny when there are certain people in the community that a lot of people don't know. It's very odd who that's going to be. You can never tell.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no real pattern for it.
Just haven't bumped into each other.
Yep.
Well, I really enjoy this this whole community, just the opportunity to know people from so many corners of the world. Excuse me, spheres of the world. Curvature of the
Arcs
world.
of the sphere.
It's just fun to be exposed to the different culture and the stupid way they talk and stuff, and I get a real kick out of. Over time, I've become very comfortable with time differences and stuff like that, and I can mostly think in somebody else's time zone and stuff. It's just lots of fun. What the hell did you kill?
I'm getting better with that. I often have trouble keeping track of, who's in what country. Oh, Slim, as far as next time for me, next time is tomorrow night at midnight.
Aww.
So I don't know if that's too late for you if you have to get up early in the morning.
Oh, this lion just killed this really cute little fox.
You're teasing us with TV.
Well, at least it's a nature show. It's not a soap opera.
It's a soap opera. We wouldn't be teasing us unless we knew what it was. I've not watched a soap opera in 20 years.
God, I was so hooked in college.
Yeah, Hans,
I'm so embarrassed.
Yeah, my mental health records are a mess because it took them forever to properly diagnose me. So they kept changing my diagnosis every 6 months when the medication they gave me didn't work.
Medication for mental health is right now a joke. It's just a guess and try something.
It's always been that way, and we're just such amateurs with the brain yet.
Yeah, until we start actually taking stock of brain chemistry, I think we are going to be very
there are a few that really do a great job. Back in the old days, we call them bipolar now, but manic depressives, especially people who are just newly diagnosed and stuff like this, they'd put them on lithium, and it takes like a week or so to get your blood level up, and they would just boom change overnight once they got to the right blood level for them.
Yeah,
it was just holy fuck. Some of them are really quite miraculous.
Hey, Doorknob.
So many of them, that tardive dyskinesia that they can cause scares the fuck out of me.
Did you ever go on lithium?
No.
Oh, I was.
How did you find lithium?
I wound up with a very weird side effect that they really couldn't explain. That lithium screwed up my depth perception to the point that the only way I could walk downstairs was to close my eyes and feel it because I couldn't judge the height of the stairs.
Interesting. Now they don't give lithium anymore. They just have you suck on a battery.
It's too expensive now. They can put better uses for it.
Yeah.
I have poor depth perception too. It's why I couldn't be a proctologist.
Oh, jeez.
Well, part of my problem with going through the mental health stuff was that they love the SSRIs. So they had to try me on every one of those in existence. And it turns out that serotonin had nothing to do with any of my conditions. Everything comes back to dopium.
Well, any of those drugs where they're fucking with the synapse and recovery and stuff. It's
well, yeah. The long and short of it for me is that anything that increases dopamine production helps me.
You need more sex.
You just hang around with flat earthers. There's lots of dopes there. That's
probably why I have such a high sex drive, and what I have found more effective than any of the prescription medications is large doses of chocolate every day.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
That has a side effect, though. That's a very large side effect that keeps getting bigger.
That's the effect from, what is it, bromine?
Yeah, not for me. I
It
tend to
does-
burn it off pretty well,
It's
so I
very
haven't.
short acting. It only works for a couple of hours and it's gone.
Nerdy says, get addicted to Twitter notifications for dopamine hits. I like that. Shout at Trump. Then you get dopamine hits.
Have any of you ever known anybody who was affected by psych meds with tardive dyskinesia?
With what?
Tardive dyskinesia.
What's that?
Some of the meds will, for example, a classic one would be like a facial tic. Where they'll be just behaving perfectly normal, and then all of a sudden, one corner of their mouth goes up, and then comes back down.
I've had drugs that will make my cheek twitch.
And well, it probably wasn't tardive dyskinesia because it's permanent once it happens. But other forms of it, there'll be people that say their arm has to go up and down all the time, or their hand they have to make a fist and relax, and they'll do that 20 fucking hours a day, and it's permanent damage once it happens.
Yeah.
I would never touch many of the psych meds because of that. It just looks like, it is. I've known people that had it and as patients
I
and stuff. It's
the
horrible.
memory thing is worse. Which came from an anti-epileptic drug that broke my memory
Oh, nerdy.
completely.
Oh, hey, Randall. Yeah. I actually used to have a facial tic when I was in high school. I learned to get under control. For me, it came from the Tourette's.
Yeah, that's Tourette's can have a physical component as well.
And I still have, especially the arm twitches. And that's something that it's directly related to my stress level. That if I'm nervous or stressed, I'll start having a lot of tics. Basically, I lose control of it when I get overstressed. But it's something that it's basically been just a lifetime of mental training to suppress the tics I identify.
I'm surprised how well you do.
Yeah, that also comes back to the dopamine. And
on stream, you couldn't do it. You couldn't mute yourself.
Oh, I mute myself all the time. I've got a hardware button on my mic.
Yeah.
So you don't see on the screen when I'm muted, but yeah, anytime I'm not talking, I generally have it muted.
There was a time when you couldn't, and I was watching you on tics can be quite often.
Yeah, like I said, it's directly related to my stress level. If I'm calm and relaxed, there aren't too many of them.
Well, the biggest problem with not coming down with a tic is that you end up with Lyme's disease.
I knew she was going to say that.
Actually, one of the nature channels, I think it was Edge, had a thing on a week or two ago about the ticks that were on dinosaurs.
Dinosaur ticks.
Yeah, and they were apparently sizable buggers, like the size of your thumb.
Oh, cool. I'm glad they're gone.
When the human species have gone, and the next species comes along, and they'll turn around and say that human lice died out around the same time as humans, but at a slightly different time. And do you think they might blame the human lice dying out on the humans dying out?
I don't think the human lice would die out, because where did they come from before humans?
Other than they evolved from something that was shared with monkeys. But the point is, it's pubic lice I'm really referring to. But the pubic lice are dying out, and most lice, humans, because of showers. But pubic lice are dying out due to lack of pubes.
Well, because people are shaving?
Yes.
Interesting.
And the fact that we have pubic lice is quite interesting from an evolutionary perspective.
I didn't think that the pubic shaving had become common enough for that to really be affecting them.
Yeah, pretty much.
I always wondered why we have pubic hair. I mean, we have hair, every square centimeter of our body. But why does it? If you lose all your hair, the pits and pubes are the last to go. Why is that?
Because it is a sign of maturity.
I always thought it was because it reduces friction.
That's what I was gonna say. It reduces friction and it protects your skin in that area.
The other thing that's talked about, I have seen, I haven't read about it from an evolutionary perspective, but I have read about it, is that the main secondary reason we have, or animals have hair, is it holds scent. So it's the same reason you have hair around your bum and the hair in your armpits, because it holds the scent for longer. So that other animals can identify you. So it adds to group cohesion and sexual selection.
Okay, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, and that would also explain why that one product, Febreze, sales are so high.
Well, one other thing I noticed about body hair in general
It's
is
still just breed for the scent.
I usually just get one of those things that you hang on the rearview mirror.
Still, why are you not in here?
And of course, there is one more use for the pubic hair: flavor saver.
Ew.
Yes, nerdy.
Yeah, I believe you, doorknob head. Well, I think it's interesting how there's an actual subculture about shaving or not shaving your pubes and stuff like that. That it's why is it taken on such importance to so many people?
I've been questioning something, and I think it's probably a continuation of the fact that people don't get changed with kids anymore.
Don't get what with kids?
Don't get changed. Communal changing rooms.
Okay.
So a kid, a 13-year-old boy or girl, isn't seeing a fucking hairy ass guy or woman as being the normal. If that makes sense, that you only tend to see people about your own age, and as you're going through puberty, about your own age includes people that are normal that have no hair, and then people that are starting to get hair, and they're the odd ones.
I never really thought about that, but yeah, that's when I was growing up. Going to the public swimming pool. Of course, there were people of all ages in there.
Yeah, it was normal.
Yeah,
I mean, I've got big ranty things about most things to do with kids and exposure to naked people, because it should be normalized. But
I used to feel absolutely terrorized to go to a public pool and have to use the locker room. It was just one of the most frightening things I ever had to go through as a kid. I just hated it.
Yeah, it was something that was always a difficult experience for me too, but I did love swimming when I was early teens.
You were brought up with it, with that being the one place. I mean, you go back only 250 years, 300 years. You and your entire family lived in the same room, basically, and extended family, and maybe a bit longer. So everyone saw everyone doing everything,
and nobody masturbated. which explains a lot of the violence rate in families.
Oh, jetpack.
I distracted us. How did we get there? Porn as well. Porn's done away with a lot of pubic hair. the only people that used to shave historically were prostitutes.
Yep. And as I understand it, it's very common in France for women to not shave their legs.
No,
Because the people who do are all prostitutes.
I didn't know that.
No, that's what I've heard. I've never been to Europe, so it's just could be one of those urban myths.
We need a French person. Good French person.
Yeah, well, I had mostly Italian women I had heard were, known for not doing any kind of body shaving.
That's because they couldn't keep up with it.
I could actually understand them.
I'm sorry. That was too easy.
I could actually understand the thing about prostitutes, shaving their pubes, because that, would reduce the instances of lice and crabs.
Yes.
Mm. Yeah, good point.
Right. Okay. This morning on Twitter, does anyone else follow Maiden Sarah? Which is funny.
I'm sorry, who?
Maiden Sarah.
As in made in Sarah or maiden?
I'm not sure if that's the same Sarah I'm thinking of or not.
Right. This morning, chatting with my girlfriend about some time she spent in Germany, she told me most German guys sit down for a piss. I don't know if she's winding me up. Any German friends enlighten me. Okay. Now,
Is that true?
Well, this is the thing. There was a good back and forward as to whether or not it's true. And at the end of the day, I'm not really sure what her answer is, apart from the fact I thought the funniest reply was, oh no, there's some really funny replies. I thought the funniest replies were, most guys, when they get to a certain age, sit down to piss because they get to sit down. It's this secret that we don't want to tell anyone because we just like to sit down when it gets to a certain point.
I'm finding as I get older, I prefer to pee standing up because it's the getting back up again that's getting more difficult as I get older.
You're not old enough yet to have rails.
What's that?
You're not old enough yet to have a loo rail thing. To have arms so you can just lift yourself up.
Yeah, we call them grunt bars.
Grunt bars.
You can get these cool little helper devices that's basically a set of aluminum arms that set up around your toilet, so you're like sitting on a easy chair. And when I had my hips replaced and just had no ability to move at that time, I was given one at the hospital, and wow, what a difference it made. It was a very useful device.
Do you know what the worst thing is? I think that might have not helped my knees. I use it more. I've taken mine away. I've had one for years. I've used one for years, and I've stopped using it because it forces me to use my knees more. Theo says it's considered bad manners to sit down in someone's private bathroom.
Yeah, I was just seeing that. Well, I suppose because of the overspray.
Overspray? What's overspray?
Basically, men who can't aim well.
What, when they're sat down?
No. If they're standing up, that's why it would be bad manners to do it standing up in a private bathroom.
No, he says it's bad manners to not sit down. Oh.
Yeah.
Not sit down. Sorry, I completely misread that. Is it? Okay, then I totally agree.
In fact, I was faced it this morning. I had to go into the bathroom at my local gas station. And it's usually just a very clean bathroom. They take really good care of it and stuff. But I went in, or went to it, the door's locked, so I have to stand there and wait, and some guy comes out. And I go in and just here's piss all over the fucking seat and stuff. And it's like, there's a urinal in there too, mister. What's your problem? Oh, it's just gross. I hate having to deal with that.
Yeah. Of course, sitting down can be a problem for men who are, more than average hung, because then they can hang right down into the water.
Well, geez, that water's cold.
Not so much that
deep,
it's cold,
too.
but, do you really want to be touching the water that you've already been, dropping your waste in?
Or if even the bowl itself is icky. It's oh no.
Now you see, you ruined the joke, so I have to tell it again.
Go on.
So the guy calls out, it's this water's really cold. And everybody kind of chuckles and stuff. And he says, and deep too. Never mind. I worked in garages. I heard lots of those boy jokes.
Yeah. I don't know why, but I basically only stand up when I'm using a urinal.
Theo says, "Oh, that's impossible to be that hung." No, it's not, and the toilets are different sizes, unfortunately.
Yeah, I've known guys who have had a problem with that. Oh.
Well, unfortunately, I need to head out. My phone's dying.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Sorry to lose you, Doc.
Yep. But it's fun hanging out with you guys.
Okay, well, maybe you can check in tomorrow night. Are you gonna be working?
Yeah, I'm off tonight and tomorrow night, so I'm gonna try to make it.
Oh, okay.
Don't get any pigs pregnant.
I'll try not to, unless I want hybrid pigs.
Oh,
Well,
no. We don't need another frustrated atheist.
No, they
go.
are doing that. They're mixing human genes with pigs to grow certain organs and things for replacement parts.
Yo. Yeah, because they're pretty close to us. But
Yeah.
anyway,
And,
TTFN.
And when you die, then you can also be like somebody's breakfast. Well, I'm not doing very well today, am I?
Well, now you're getting back to that thing about them, that the vaccines are going to alter your DNA so you're no longer human.
Yeah.
I have a pedantic question. Okay. Someone said again something that someone else said on Twitter. That a vaccine prevents you catching something. Right, and from a pedantic perspective, do you think a vaccine prevents you catching something? Surely you have to catch it, and the vaccine helps the response.
Correct.
So you kill it quickly. But you still can catch. You're still catching it, aren't you? Technically. Do you think? This is what I'm not sure about.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It has to infiltrate your body for your body to know to turn on the defense system. What a vaccine does is it because it has primed your system, the system is able to react faster and more en masse, and is able to kill it that way. I would imagine certain viri or whatever need to be attacked in a certain way versus others because they're different shells and casings and how many layers and what kind of receptor they have, the shape of it, the depth of it, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, most vaccines are designed to help your system recognize the surface proteins of the viruses.
Well, this is why the Pfizer one's so interesting, because that it's a lipid with the outer bits that look like the virus, rather than being a weak or dead virus. Yeah.
So you guys want to watch me give myself an injection?
What sort of injection?
A drug injection.
No,
So,
I did it for my fiance so many times, it's not interesting anymore.
What's the chat say? You want to watch?
Well, you have to tell us what sort of injection.
Estradiol.
Oh.
Okay. Jeez.
I don't know. I've not seen anyone do that.
Yeah.
Is it a fun one?
Well,
Do you have to does it come in a predisposed needle thing that goes fit, or do you have to take it out the?
I have to draw it and everything myself.
Draw it out yourself.
Yeah. I'm a big girl. I can do that.
I didn't think they let bloody people do that anymore.
I even have to assemble the syringe myself.
Do you have a glass syringe?
No, they're disposable.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you had your own special one then.
I buy them 100 at a crack off eBay
It.
or Amazon, one of the two.
Yeah.
I prefer Amazon.
My fiance was diabetic, so I had to give her injections twice a day. I was kind of squeamish about it initially, but you get used to it after a while.
Did you have to draw it, or did you get? Did it come in things?
No. It was a vial kept in the fridge, so I had to draw it into the needles.
Yeah.
You know, make sure there weren't any air bubbles.
Just wait. Right. The only ones we've done at home are heparin ones. They came in a kind of. They came as the needle with a plastic thing over the end that could only be pushed in twice. I think once. So basically, it comes. You push it down onto the stomach. The needle shoots out the end, injects the contents, and the whole thing pulls back up and covers the needle up. So it's the whole needle, syringe, and contents are what you get each is a dose.
Yeah, I've seen that for some medications.
That's the only one, and I'm intrigued as to why.
Okay, now we've got two Jennies.
Ooh. Brits get the vaccine first, so you're our human guinea pigs. I mean, we're going to be over it first. Yakety yak, don't talk back.
Okay, so should I boot the non-moving Jenny?
No, I think the non-moving Jenny's still there. I'm not sure.
Well, not hearing her.
Not hearing her on either. We can't hear you.
Yep. War of the Worlds. Whoop, that one. I wasn't seeing that, but yeah, no, for the diabetic injections, it's just a month's worth of the medication in a little bottle that you have to keep in the fridge.
Oh crap! That you just
yeah,
reminded me.
And then you just get a box of the syringes.
Because that's what kills Sammy Jenkins' wife, isn't it? In Memento.
I don't know.
He forgets that he forgets each time he's done it, and she tells him to do it again. She tells him it's time for my insulin injection, and he gives the insulin injection, and then 10 minutes time she says it's time for my insulin injection, and he does it again because he doesn't remember.
Oh, yeah. Well, definitely, it is something that if they get too much of it, it can cause, basically a complete respiratory shutdown.
I think we've learned something about Slothgill today.
Oh, I knew that part. Yeah, well, Doorknob Head does have the ZZ Top thing going there.
Right. I should really run away.
Well, I have been going 2 hours, and I do have to get out and do some things while the post office is open. So maybe I should just be shutting down here. Oh, good. There's Jenny's back.
I had to reboot.
Okay. Yeah,
you-
I was thinking that it might be time for me to be shutting down because I've got to get to the post office and hit a couple of stores.
Well, not yet. I'm about to inject.
Yep. No. That's why I'm glad that you came back.
Okay, this is what I got to do. First, you got to put the needle. Oh, wait, here we are. The needle on the syringe. And they're both sterile, of course. And so I try to move very quickly when I do this so that there's not chance for air to get into in between the two pieces. And then I draw in some air and push it out. That helps make sure that the needle's all clear. And then I draw up about that much air.
Why did you draw up that much air?
I'll show you in a second. Oops. Then I clean my little bottle top. And I kind of pick on my leg where I'm going to do it. Okay. This is why you drop the air like that. Oof. Because when I insert here, I'm going to create negative pressure if I don't add some air to the bottle.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to accidentally create a vacuum within the bottle.
And now I draw. This shit is really thick in the oil that it's in. And so I pull my plunger all the way back to here to create as much vacuum pressure as I can in there. And the shit starts to flow in.
Yep, that's the same way I had to do it for my fiance's diabetic meds.
One of the drugs I take, the carrier for the stuff in the capsule, is peanut oil.
Okay, people are saying I could get a strike on YouTube for this.
Really?
For showing an injection.
It's a prescription.
The injection, though.
I have a prescription.
Yeah.
See, there's the prescription. This is all 100% legal, and it's not a controlled substance.
Very good. Don't show the injection.
Okay, now I've got about 3/10 of for 1, 2, 3. Yeah, about 3/10 of a milliliter in there. And so I push it up, get the air out. That starts to go up the needle and push out. And then I draw it down to 1.25. And I got my needle already.
Yeah, I'm going to let it go.
I'm not going to reposition the camera. Then I pull back on the skin, punch it, and in it goes.
I'm leaving it in. If YouTube bitches about it, they'll block the stream for a while, and I can edit the clip out and put it. So.
And then I dispose of the needle in a safe manner. You can see I've done it a bit.
Yep.
A few in there. And that's it. Done. Boob food. Boob fertilizer. How's that? And then I just put everything away.
That's terrible. I thought the fashion was for patches.
This is like $100 and some. This stupid little fucking bottle.
I thought, from what I have read, I thought patches were the most common delivery method.
Actually, nowadays, yes, it is. It is the preferred. Some people respond better to injectable than patches. I do have patches as a backup because sometimes they run out of my prescription and it'll take a couple of weeks to get it. So then I can fall back to patches to tide me over. And then, of course, you go to some pharmacies and they give you these lurid little stares. You know, hey, the perverts here getting their stuff. I don't get that. I go to the hospital, the pharmacy right at the hospital where my doctor is and stuff. So they're rather professional about the whole thing.
Yeah.
If they would just normalize the whole damn thing. Remember, you guys out in the chat, transgender people don't need therapy and help because they're transgender. They need the help and therapy and all that stuff because there's so many so-called normal people that treat us like fucking shit and make our lives almost impossible to live.
Yeah. Yeah, it's dealing with society pressures.
Mm-hmm. Okay, camera's done. I wish it would stop bleeding.
You want warfarin as well?
Yeah.
Oh, then it's why it's bleeding.
Well, it doesn't always. It all depends on where the needle goes in. Sometimes you hit a dry spot, sometimes you don't. It's no big deal. I have Band-Aids.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I think I do need to wrap this up because I also have to try and reach the customer service number, which probably means I'll spend 2 hours on hold.
And I learned how to give injections when I was in nurses training. So I'm actually qualified to do it. But the first time you poke yourself, it's hard to do it. It's hard to do it the first time. And then the big thing I learned after I poked myself the first time, it's fucking painless. But I was so scared.
I'm tempted to make a comment about all girls.
I used the N-word? No, I didn't.
Normal.
Normal. Oh. Okay, yes, I did use that
I
word.
get offended when people use that word and when I'm in the room.
We don't have. I'm trying to work out. Right. We need. Society requires a baseline to work to.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but we don't have the language for baseline that doesn't make abnormal the alternative.
I will use the word standard.
See, standard kind of works
because it seems to be more like a statistical thing.
Because it's one of those things where we're stuck. The whole of society shouldn't have to adapt.
Well, there's average.
Well, average kind of works, but they don't seem to fit in the same way.
Well, anytime you say standard, I think of, industrial work, and it's like, you want standards? We've got thousands of them.
I like typical. I will use because it indicates what is seen most often, which is really what we're trying to get at.
It is.
Yeah. Well, and in mental health respects, they do use neurotypical.
Mm-hmm.
But that's become not a good, helpful term.
Yeah, sloth girl. I wheeze. That's part of my death rattle. It comes and goes.
Yeah, no, vanilla does wind up being used a lot for the default, which really is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Because vanilla is not something without flavor. Vanilla is a very exotic and expensive flavoring.
Yeah, but how the culture has been exposed to the word and uses the word And that's why you use certain words certain ways.
I'm sorry, but I love that it's become an insult. I know people that are insulted when you call them vanilla.
Well, especially, in any kind of sexuality sense.
Yes.
Actually, my favorite ice cream flavor is I don't have one specifically, but I love cherry, and not just the typical black cherry that they stick in soda and shit. I like the maraschino cherry sweetness that is just obnoxiously sweet and completely artificial tasting.
Oh yeah,
but it's so wonderful.
I
I love it.
maraschino cherries.
Yeah, I wanna. You can get it like Sam's Club. You can buy this gallon and a half jar of maraschino cherries, and I've always wanted to buy one of those and make maraschino cherry jam. Wouldn't that be great? Oh, what is this now? Is this showing the? Oh no! Oh, this is even worse. American eugenics. The history of eugenics in America precedes Nazi Germany. In fact, they can chart how American eugenics is what fed into the German.
Went to Puerto Rico.
Say again?
Is that the guy that went to Puerto Rico?
I don't know about that.
I know there was one that was very into it, and then he went to moved to Puerto Rico and was basically doing tests on it wasn't eugenics, it was just unethical testing, pretty much everything. I think I don't know.
A lot of the American stuff was based on trying to deal with what they termed in those days feeble-minded, to try to eliminate that as a trait.
And yet we're all here.
That's right.
We will win out. This is annoying me.
Yeah, if they had managed to succeed, we wouldn't have flat earthers.
Or Donald Trump.
We would have flat earthers. That's the worst thing. Because they come from kids and they were accepted. You could be feeble-minded, but as long as you went to church and regularly proclaimed and paid your 10%, you were good.
Okay, yeah. I seriously do need to wrap up here so I can get things done today.
Okay.
All right. Fine.
Goodbye, everybody.
So, thank you, everybody, for coming.
Bye-bye, chat.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, Doorknob and Soft Girl and Theo. Nice to meet you. And who else is there? Amiga and Purple. Who's this Purple guy?
Yep,
Purple?
and we'll be back tomorrow night at midnight. And yeah, tomorrow night nope, I'm not going to do it because all the holidays I found for Friday are either religious or stupid, so I'm not going to use any of them.
And for tomorrow's night show, I'll inject bleach.
No.
Well, COVID.
We're not doing that either.
Because Donnie Trump said so.
Yeah. Okay, so anybody have anything they need to plug before we go?
I'm on the Rages on Friday. That's it. I don't know when my next show is going to be. It depends whether I'm feeling any better.
Okay. All right, and yeah, we're still organizing for doing the Christmas stream marathon, which will be starting U.S. Central Time. Will be starting Christmas Eve at 5 p.m. and running until 4 a.m. on the 26th to make sure we pretty much cover everyone all around the world.
Thank you, Never Again. That's very kind to say.
Yeah.
Yep, tomorrow night is Nope night. Okay, so bye-bye all. We'll catch you later.
Bye bye. Bye bye.